Welcome. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to that thing that we do, which is we start making stuff, and then an even smaller part of the lizard brain chimes in and says, "Hey, remember the whole content thing?" Where you make it the content, and then the part of the brain that's active at that moment says, look, we're making things right now. Do you know how much these gloves have saved me? I should have been using these for metalworking for my whole life. Shout out to the Klein Tools neoprene dipped. I can still hold on to stuff, and then when I feed my fingers into sanders, I only feed the gloves into the sanders. So, Gooliemoo, episode 2. You see it right there. There's the, yeah, where's the little, it has a little badge on the end of it. Yeah, it's an angry beaver. It's a good apron. It keeps the aluminum out of my flesh. So, last time around, for a Hitting the Rocks Raw, we did okay. But, we've definitely got some geo problems. We've got, I can measure this. There's already stuff everywhere. I have one side pulled off. We have 14 millimeters. 14 millimeters separation between lower link and upper link. We have a reasonable length differential. The geometry didn't look too bad, but we do have materials. When I popped this off, first thing I did was take my little measurifier here. We throw this on here, and we find out that 2.09 millimeters. And I'm like, dang it! We can either bulge the cage by 2 millimeters, or, this is Delrin, we can unmount the pieces from it, take it over to the table saw, and cut 1 millimeter off of each side of it. We will choose to do that. But what we first did is we took these holes and we transferred them over to a piece of aluminum. Step 2, question marks. Step 3, throw it on the floor. Step 4, we arrive right here. You see what I've done. I have a, here's where and why I love the laser as much as I do. I cut out, like, I actually prototyped. Like, I was prototyping out shock towers, and when you do this, we know that all the holes are perfectly spaced. So we do that. Look at that. Look at all that. And then we know we have a grid. So this hole right here, that is the stock hole. That is the hole that they're in right now. That lowest hole is the first factory hole, second factory hole. So I went 2 holes up, 1 row forward, and 1 row backward. So we get some adjustability. We're probably going to end up in one of these 4 up here. I had the opportunity to make them much taller. Oh, I still might. You know what? It's not that hard to do. I'm second guessing myself. Also, once you have holes drilled, you can also just take this, overlay it like that. You can put the screw back in, take it over to the drill press, and you can just drill straight through the holes. This is low dollar, low tech machining. It's kind of like machining. It's like machining, but it's different. Dot, dot, dot. Then we will get our friend the punch. Then what I will do is I will cut these out. Because it's 2 sandwiched together. So we're going to make 2 at the same time. We do some little, 1, 2, 3. What do I hear? None of these are tapped yet, except for the ones that have screws in them. And none of them are tapped yet because the tap stuff that I use was making my marker disappear. So I do have a festival of tapping left to do. It's supposed to go back in the apron as soon as I'm done with it. There's the idea. So, 1, 2, slid on me a little. All right. So I will have to nudge this up. I just traced the stock piece. We'll just go up to right about there. Same exact thing. I'll drill those holes, and then they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. It doesn't really matter. No one's ever going to see this part. This is also another bonus for me. I care not. Oh, yes. We have the added holes right here. Those holes are for the cage. Those holes, because currently the cage is only attached to the skid with 4 screws, the ones at the outermost edges. That's the next row of holes right here. So they will go into this, and once I have these attached to there, I will drill and tap into the Delrin. It's just a huge expansive Delrin. And then we'll have 4 screws on either side attaching the cage. Not that it's explicitly necessary, but, you know, belt and suspenders. Why not? So, 6 more holes to drill, cut the shape out, clean it up. This is a 10-minute piece. I will start my timer, and I will see how long it actually takes me to make these without rushing. And then we'll be able to bosh this back together. This is being created because we had a real wheel stander problem. It was lifting the one side, and it wasn't just the one side. I guess I just need to do an installment where I just talk about what is torque twist. A lot of people seem to think that if you're on flat ground and you pull the trigger and your vehicle rocks like that, that's torque twist. That's not torque twist. It can be, but it generally isn't. What it generally is we're running 1 pound per inch springs and very soft springs. So when you put it, the weight, the sprung weight, is going to transfer. As long as you're generating power in a rotational fashion, it's going to rock. Some do it a lot less. Some do it a lot more. You could literally measure the length of your shock ride height. Let's say that it's 75 millimeters, because, you know, we don't sit with a shock fully extended. You're going to have some settle. 75 millimeters. You could take yourself some pieces of aluminum or get some old turnbuckles or whatever. Make 4 75 millimeter analogs. Put them on where your suspension should be. Pull the trigger, and I guarantee you, now that it can't move the suspension, it's not going to move the sprung weight. It's just going to go perfectly flat. I have measurable torque twist on one vehicle that I can think of off the top of my head. I have an FMS FJ40 sitting on leaf springs. Leaf springs are what I like to call non-adjustable. You can make them stiffer or softer by disassembling the whole spring pack and adding or removing leaves from that pack. But, like, you can't tune it. You can't tune link separation. What we were experiencing here was a little bit of torque twist, but it's really just excessive weight transfer because we don't have enough link separation at the chassis end. So what's happening, because they're so close together, it's twisting, but it's not so much twisting because of what's here. The twist is more based on the fact that the suspension, because we have low roll center, wants to twist. It wants to twist. So it's twisting more from the weight of these big guys being as far apart as they are. There's a lot of factors working against it. I'm not completely sold on the 575 silicone, but I also, after one run, don't want to just run out and replace them. I want to attack the geometry first. I would also like a little bit more link separation in the front, or a little less link separation in the front. I'm not quite sure yet. The Capra is unique. relatively unique in the low roll center, front and rear. And you kind of have to adapt to the way the suspension works. And half-mentioned bonus, these will all be tapped, no more lock nuts. So making suspension changes will be pretty fast. I think using a ball end, we might be able to move link positions without taking the whole cage off. I might just be able to remove a side panel, and it's bad. It's really bad. The UBP was not. Watch, we can. I mean, I've had failures of primer before, and you can see the scuff. I scuffed them. I'm going to be able to basically just, it's leaving white stuff everywhere. I should be doing this outside. I'm going to be able to just put them back to orange. I will try just straight fusion to the plastic. And then, as I mentioned in the first installation, if nothing proves helpful, I don't think, I mean, orange with the oil slick, I'm not sold on. I might just end up cutting, I'm pretty sure I had bought a 12x12 sheet of 1/16 inch polycarbonate. I probably have enough to cut these panels out of it. We'll find out if we need to find out. Let me cut this out. Let's get this start to get thrown back together. We'll see if I'm going to have to alter my rear link length for the uppers. The lowers, I don't think I'm going to have to change. We might have to change the length of the uppers to match this better. Got to drill and tap some holes. We got a little bit of fabrication. I should be done on the table saw for the day, and I'm still surprised at how much I like the motor back there. It's a good looking little guy. All right. Drill, cut, tap, sand, slap it on. Finished some plates, drilled some holes, mounted some plates with the help of our friend here, some oak plywood. We can take a look at what we hath wrought. The desire to canyon change overwhelms more often than it doesn't. We have gone from 14 millimeters to right around 25 millimeters link separation in the rear. We do have an additional hole. We can go higher. We can go up to about 29 millimeters of separation. Or we can prove that we don't make things right on the first try and sometimes not on the second try, and we could shock key it and get them up even higher. I think based on prior experience, this will be reasonably close. I've also moved them in the front up one hole and forward one hole so I could improve my pinion angle a little bit. We have about 20 millimeters of separation in the front. We can drop that back down. We can choose any of the other holes. I had to change all of the pivot balls because it was binding. And while I was at it, I cut another little piece of Delrin. Used some little shock screws to mount, or beadlock screws to mount them. Got everything down a little bit lower. I don't think it's going to matter. I think aesthetically it'll look a little bit better. I've got my second rainbow drive shaft, so we have matching drive shafts. And this was performed with nothing more than an air nozzle. I've had primer not adhere before, but this basically chalked out. I will get the rest of it off, but I kind of started to like it. I also have Kydex. I've got polycarbonate. I have any number of things that we can make panels out of, but that is certainly for later. All of the holes are drilled. It might be a little tricky to pop over the wider mounts now. Just kind of wrap that over like that. There we go. And let me just grab some longer screws in the back, shorter screws in the front. Bust this on. I think I was in center hole. Looks like center. Mr. Oak Plywood is going to be particularly helpful because it'll help me to spin this guy around and put the screws on the other side. So now we'll have 4 screws into the cage. I don't think we explicitly needed it, but Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as they say. So now instead of 8 screws to take the whole thing apart, it's going to be 12. I'm okay with that. Hopefully, hoping against hope, and we're really hoping against it right now, I won't have to take this apart more than a couple more times. Okay. All right. I give it one more. Got it. See, this is I should have been using this for years. The power of the board. Let me see. Let me put the rest of these screws in rather than watch someone fumble repeatedly, because I'm really going to have to wrangle. I'm trying to neg myself into doing it correctly on the first try. We are halfway there. Wait, no. 4, 8. Oh, I didn't bring enough screws. I did not bring enough screws. Okay. All right. None of my angles should have been negatively impacted. Where's the screw? I'm spinning around in circles here. The whole bin of screws is under the hollow balls. That's not the correct bin. What? Where? It was right there. Sometimes I feel like I have some small cause for worry. This is definitely, in this instance, point to the Gooliemoo, because they put 2 little tabs on the bottom of the skid that line up with the chassis. That's a pretty good idea. This just kind of falls through like that. I think 8 screws is going to be wholly unnecessary, but I went through the trouble of doing it. So we're gonna use them. And the holes in the back, they don't have a lot of depth to them. I wonder if I could fit 16s on the holes I put. I'd feel better about it. Yes, I can. So the 12s are there just to kind of get things lined up. Yeah, the 16s are definitely doing the work of holding this thing together. Again, I would really most like to see this on a regular J-Concepts medium foam. I don't think we need nearly as much weight to offset, because this is not that heavy. Let me check those pinion angles now that I've messed everything up. You know what? Pretty good. I tend to like to get the rear portal box to sit flat. You can't get the front one to sit flat. The more caster we have, the tighter we're going to turn. That sits pretty okay. Had to go to an offset end on this, and I measured it out, and I was like, oh, it's much longer. No, it wasn't. Like, they got 5 millimeters longer on the links. It sits pretty much exactly like it did before. The links are just straight right there. So it is inarguably sitting better. I don't want to go below level. It feels sprung surprisingly appropriately. We tend to underspring and overdamp, because if you're going to err to a side, err to that side. So what are we looking at minus the rotating? He's 5 pounds. Guys, he's not 5 pounds. Watch this. You want to see abuse of technology? Wait. Resettle. This is how high-tech we are here. I got to edit it because for some reason it turned sideways. And we'll go like this. Oh my. Oh my. What? It's just white. It's just white. 4.998 pounds. 5 pounds. I would like high side about 300 grams per corner. I always grab the scale. Well, I kind of leave it on top. 2267. 36912. Yes, I would like 300 grams per corner. Now, 300 grams per corner could come from any number of sources. Do we throw Amazon brass at it and just pull out all of that silicone weight? I don't know. Not yet. Probably. But not yet. Oh, yeah. When I was vacuuming up all the debris from fabrication, I vacuumed up one of his wheel nuts. So I need another M5 wheel nut. The silver ones came with the stub axles. Just want to make sure. No. I always grab one from each side. No. There we go. I'm not, if there's something I'm not convinced of, it's the viability of the, oh my God, it's the viability of the big silicone. They're just so heavy. So heavy. It bullies everything around, and you can feel like the literal drag. Now, it does give me the ability to test something that I would like to test. Namely, how is this big weight going to do under an overdrive-underdrive situation? We're still sitting at none. We'll get to that in the next one. I haven't even gone to my drawer and checked to see... Oh, nope, wait. Okay, there. I haven't even gone to my drawer and checked to see if I have gears. So we've definitely got a ratio. It is a ratio. And well past 50% unsprung. Has to be. 5 pounds with no combos installed. 9.15 pounds, no battery. Because it needs to be charged. It's not charged yet. 9.15 pounds with the combos installed. I don't think it's too much in terms of ratio. It is certainly suboptimal in terms of rotating. That's a lot of rotating. But for anyone who questions the capabilities or capacities of little 3625 Outrunners, it will move 9 pounds without issue. And we're making it work far harder than we need to. I liked the performance of the silicone. Like they're not bouncing back too much. They seem like they're conforming pretty well, not too much give, but it is so much mass. It's just mass. Look at the size of that thing. I didn't change any links. No, we're still right at that like 365. He's a big, long guy. Now, what did we change? We moved the electronics a little bit lower, and we changed all of the upper link geometry. We didn't change the lowers at all. I didn't change the springs at all. It sits, it's near level. It might actually be a hair below level. I'm not mad about it. Yeah, still pulling about 80 millimeters under the skid. And no issues. Nothing seemed to happen negatively to trimming the skid to 72 millimeters wide, down from 74, in order to accommodate the added width of 3.1 millimeter aluminum plates in place of 2 millimeter carbon fiber plates. Let's be real simple and plain about it. There's no advantage at all to these being made out of carbon fiber. It's just proof positive that in some parts of the world, in places of manufacture, you can get carbon fiber for a cost of next to nothing. And it's an awful material to work with. You may have noticed, if you've been here around the channel for a while, you very, very rarely see me fabricate anything out of carbon fiber because it is filthy. Carbon turns everything black, and the tiny little particles of it in the air are shaped like fish hooks. And if you're not wearing gear, if you're not wearing your proper PPE, you inhale them, they embed themselves in your lungs, and you eventually get mesothelioma. So, aluminum, yay, we stick to aluminum. 915, no overdrive, underdrive still, but we have changed geometry. Let me check the drawer. I might have an 824. They're pretty easy to spot. Their teeth are really big. I have an 827. Okay, I got a 27, 30, 30, 33. We're in business. We're in business. 27, 33. And that will allow me to do my due diligence, because, burying the lead, when I had everything out, did we go right into dig? Did we go right into dig? Nope. Well, that's not good. Oh no. Okay. I will address somewhere there is a screw too long. Ooh, that's not a thing that you want to torque on. You want to find that. It might be something simple. I don't see it. It's in dig on the rear. Oh, that is just locked. Thank God. I tried to free roll it. There's a screw into something that it shouldn't be. Oh, yes. Dig not properly engaging last time. It had 8 millimeter screws through the back of the box into where the dig is, and the dog would hit him. They need to be M3x6s. So all the screws were replaced. Something, you can see that, just fully stopped. Okay. I will suss that. I will charge the battery. I will meet you outdoors so we can see how we do. The next time around, maybe I'll have obtained some foams, potentially, and we'll throw some underdrive, overdrive in it. I like about a 20%, 23%. I like to stay under 25%. So we'll throw in an 827 and an 833, which will give us roughly about 10% at each end. Give us right around 20%, which I should be happy with. I am just sitting here staring at it going, what did you do to lock up the gearbox? What did you do? I'll find out. I'll let you know outside. 2-second repair update. Gearbox side front drive shaft. Screw pin not all the way in, hitting the gear cover. Just another reason, well, I guess in this instance the gear cover helped us out. Little quick 3-4 hitter here. Now, what we should expect to see is less tendency to drive the nose into the sky. We should see stuff more like this. See a little bit of that weight extra to pull through, but dig it down. The screw change on the dig, if you purchase yourself an Amazon tricolor dig box, immediately look through the slot where the dig arm, where the actuator arm goes. If you can see the tips of the screws, you're gonna have a bad time. The dig is not gonna work well. The dig is 100% now. Up, down, does not matter. It's a mechanical engagement. You run no saver on it, so you can set your endpoints real nice. This is... I'm not saying that this is dramatically improved. What I'm saying is this is a lot better. You'll also notice no hood. While on the one hand, I appreciate the battery placement. It's quick, it's convenient, it's Capra-esque. On the other hand, quite literally, I can't get the strap on the battery. It takes two hands, and my tongue is sticking out, and I'm like, yeah, I can get this. I am going to think of something else. It does hold the battery nice and low, too. The battery is pretty low. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at it. It's just a bracket. So there's a part of the cage that the battery bolts to. I might be able to make something more big-handed. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, the dig is a 100% proposition. The second best dig is this one. LCXU, when set up, re-bracket the micro servo. LCXU dig is chef's kiss. This dig is $60 for the whole gearbox, and it requires a little bit of fiddling. You're going to have to change some fasteners. You might have to change a bearing or two. But overall, I mean, $60 gearbox for... It just works every time. We'll head up some steep stuff. I'll come at you from angles you don't anticipate. We have a measured improvement in forward drive. Super low. No changes to the running gear. Springing, damping, none of that. Not even link lengths. Had to change a couple hollow balls, so we might have a little bit more triangulation than we originally did. Our steer angle is quite good. There is, I still, at, what are we, around 1,700 grams rotating? I still think it's too much. I would like to experience it on just some foams, but I've been having to pass the J-Concepts 2.2 foams around. I recently bought a set of landmines. The foams in them are RC four-wheel drive-esque. They are rock hard. So the foams that were in these are in the landmines. So I don't have foams for these. And I did want to try the silicones, and they're certainly not awful. Okay, real bad on the entry. Can we pull it back? Yeah. Gotta cut that way. Get that rear tire around. Don't even need a dig through there. Yes. Yes. Drawbacks to increased rear link separation. Not really. Not really. Will stability be compromised? I don't think so overall. We're definitely not going to throw the wheel. Well, I mean, what we need to do is let's take a more proper cut to this. We'll go right-hand side, which is more difficult. We'll get right in that little notch right there. No, it's shoving the weight down. This is, we can get just a little lift out of it. This is anti-squat. Apply power. Nose end pushes down. I reached for the dig, and I missed. And there is an unmeasurable percentage of, quotes, getting used to it, because Porky, 420 grams a corner. Little dig swing. Can we take that pivot in tight? Yeah, why not? Okay, let's see. Real loaded, okay? Little light. There we go. But it will hold. Let's back out of that, shall we? Yes. They do really slow movements down.
There's a dig. Really cross-weighted. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody can argue that it's not helping. We're not done. I'm browsing Amazon for the cheapest Capra brass I can find. Yeah, this is forward mash. This is what I want. We should be wide enough to bridge this. Yeah. And again, I want to say I mentioned it before. If I didn't, I'll mention it again now. Don't underestimate the 3625 Outrunner, the Pancake 4S. It will be warm, like right above skin temperature. It's right above me. The numbers are 50, 10, 70. 50 degrees freedom units, 10 degrees Celsius, 70% relative humidity. This is a beautiful morning. And yes, I will still be putting 20% OD-UD in it, 20% net, 10% front, 10% back, because we want to see. It doesn't take that long to swap a gear out. Now let's see. This is going to be really loaded back. Look at driver front. That's the unloaded tire. And not a problem. This is geometry stuff. Oh. Yeah. I don't know if it could be the horn. Plastic horn. I'm gonna have to change that plastic horn. I don't like it. It was the only horn I could find in the bins that was the absolutely perfect length. Yeah, it's slowed down. It's slowed down, but it's maybe slowed down too much. So I think what we'll do is we'll try 20% on the big heavies. Ooh, get it. Oh. I mean, just climb. That's slippy right there. That's real slippy. You're gonna need to get over, move your belly. Yeah, this is the whole reason behind what you see before you of the Gooliemoo. The capability is not the platform. The capability is bigness. If you saw the first few runs of the Gooliemoo, I was terrible on those Baja Boss. Terrible. Could barely get up things. Yeah, you throw some 2.2 ruptures on a Fusion 8, etc., etc., etc. Got it. That 370-ish millimeter wheelbase, it bridges gaps. You're not going to need harder lines, you're going to need different ones, because lines that are hard, difficult, for a vehicle with a 313 wheelbase are either going to be harder or easier for a vehicle with a 365, 370 millimeter wheelbase. If you have a vehicle that you can outfit with a big boy J-Concepts green 579 Tusk, Rupture, Landmine, whatever, the big one, build that thing, put them on there, and you'll be like, what? Not only is there nothing exotic on this vehicle, with the exception of the tires, which were purchased through A-Main Hobbies, and the shocks, which I got from Jenny's RC. You can get high trail shocks all day. And if you're going to build one of these, if you're going to build your own UTB-8, you can either do 115 Chav Techs from Amazon, or my recommendation would be these. Minimal modifications to put mini springs on them. And you know what it does? It does all the things want to see. Is that rear end going to pop? A little bit. A little bit. This is how you break an axle, but we've been to this party before, so. As it stands, the blue silicone, the big silicone, if only they found some way to confound physics and make those things weigh half what they weigh now. You make that insert, well, I mean, I guess it would be called 3D printed. They've already done it. But the 3D printed inserts would cost me more than the $20 that it costs for these. So we're going to do a couple more experimentations with these big guys. Maybe it'll be an issue of we go with a foam, a single stage or a dual stage foam in the rear and leave these in the front and use them as weights. A little heavy, a little heavy. I love this wheel. I love an oil slick turbine. They look great on here. At the same time, I'm not married to it. If I find something else, we'll try something else. I also like the -10s. I think that for proper UTB 8-ness, you need a -10 offset wheel. You need some dish on there. Could maybe get away with a little more dish. I don't know. What I know is, there we go, and then we're so light. Look at. Come on. Oh, boop. It's still got a little bit. That is a lot of weight. Then we just reposition right here. That is the Tusk. There's so much traction, and the silicone is fighting that with so much weight that you can overwhelm a reasonably properly sprung suspension setup. You get like there's a counter arm. I don't know what you would call it. When the weight swings to a certain point, it basically just overwhelms the geometry and it takes the whole vehicle with it. It's like, imagine you're swinging your arm around in front of you in a circle, and then a magic kettlebell is in your hand and it keeps getting heavier and heavier and heavier. At some point, it's just going to pull you off your feet. So that's kind of what's happening here. That a tire gets in the air. As I said, torque twist is a tameable phenomenon. We're all using a rotary motor that is transmitting torque in a rotational direction. And then that direction is going to change in the gearbox and change back and change and change back and change. You're going to be at the mercy of the biggest flywheel. And the biggest flywheel tends to be the big rubber things that help it touch the ground. Sometimes, and not just the biggest, they kind of tend to be the heaviest, even if you're not throwing a bunch of weight at them. Unless, you're in like Fusion 8 territory. Axial. This, a little bit bigger. Like the 7-inch Tusk, a little bit longer. Portal axle. I feel in my feelings. This is what the people wanted. They didn't want not even an asterisk. Like it doesn't even feel right to say the innovation. No, of the Gooliemoo. We made something very complicated. We DLC'd an RC car. If you want to put 4-wheel steer. If I wanted to put 4-wheel steer on this, I would have, no, it cost about the same. It cost me $100 to make 4-wheel steer. And then I would have 2 leftover rear axles and be constantly wondering what to do with those. I would have bought the Mias dual fronts to begin with. And it would cost another $100 on this to make it 4-wheel steer. I don't want to make it 4-wheel steer. I want it to have dig. But a Gooliemoo with 4-wheel steer and all the ASD installed is like $1,500. And what you're looking at right now is realistically probably just north of the purchase price of the RTR Gooliemoo. But we have very little that need replacing. How high is that rear tire? Real high. I think we can, when in doubt, power out. Ooh, that was a head knocker. Oh, it was the light bar. The positioning of the light bar is a little high. It's a little high. You're gonna hit it on a lot of stuff. I think the effectiveness of the dig and some of the times the dig doesn't want to fully engage is just the amount of weight bearing down on those dogs. 800 grams. We're closing in on 2 pounds of rotating mass per axle. I've got some dual stage foams, but they're for 525s. But I also have fridge foam. We might fabricable some dual stage for this just to see how the other half lives. I mean, I think that there's going to be an overall improvement if we move weight to brass on the axle and move much lighter weight. I would like to get each corner, I'd like 120, between 120 and 150 grams off of each corner rotating. I would like to keep the weight near where it is. I don't think I need to add another, gee, is that 2 pounds of 240, 500 grams, 1.1 pounds? That's not too bad. I think we can probably get away with adding about 600 grams. That's a lot of brass. That's a lot of brass. We'll see how it goes. We might put overdrive, underdrive in it, and it turns out to be the speed secret. I'm coming at it this way. I want to see if we can, give me a little more. Yeah, there's some little oddities, which I think are silicone based. Want that rear end to drop for me? There we go. Woo! It is manipulable. It will go to the places that you want to send it. Okay, that's not exactly where I wanted to go, but it did it anyway. Ooh, ooh, I want one more cut up the center. Yeah, right there. On those descents under load like that, it really pushes the front end down. Now I want to put a faster dig servo in it because when the tires are lighter, we'll maybe do that as a reward. Flash hobby 1227, maybe. Okay, over the top, right over the top. Real loaded, coming back. We may have exceeded our grasp with our reach there. Got way too high up. But you know, you just keep feeding it harder lines. That's a more normal assault right there. Let me see. Is that low side going to load? No. You're not going to need harder lines. You're going to need bigger lines. It's the plastic horn. That horn is flexing when it's dug. We got to go to metal. We got to go to metal. That's another big part of why axial digs tend to be ineffective. Servo savers don't help. Adding a spring to a spring, we want a direct interface, but to have a direct interface, you need to be able to set your endpoints exactly where you want them so your servos don't release their pixies. The Gooliemoo, the erstwhile Amazon-sourced UTB-8, is definitely well on its way. I don't know. The haphazardly primer removed with air method, it's kind of growing on me. I don't know. I've got plastics. Next time you see it, maybe it'll look different. I don't know. We'll see it again. We've got some other things to experiment with. And then we'll head over to the, impossible waterfall and locations like that. It's not full on easy mode. But for something on its second run, we're honestly, we're doing pretty well. I hope you're doing pretty well as well. I thank you so much for joining us here in the canyon for whatever this was and turns out to be. I hope that you tune in for whatever we have coming up next. And in the meantime, I would at least casually recommend that you want to all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon. UTB 8, the Gooliemoo, the thing that Axial opted not to give us, so we made it ourselves. But as Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zerg once famously said,
If you want something done, do it yourself. Yeah.